They're the king of the forest.
They're very intelligent animals.
Weighing as much as 800 pounds, standing 7 feet tall.
They can run as fast as a thoroughbred racehorse.
An encounter can be dangerous and fascinating.
So what would you do? Before we even got this close, we would yell.
Come along and meet Minnesotans who want to come face to face with bears.
All right, I got him.
Two brothers from Minnesota have no qualms about getting close to a grizzly. See the rare encounters they've had and hear about the dangers of tracking these wild animals.
The bear heard the whoosh from the can, looked up and charged.
Tag along as we tour northern Minnesota. I'm Jason Davis. Join us on a hunt with some Minnesotans who are eager to see some bears that could be very dangerous.
When we go on the road, there's a place I want to see. When we go on the road, why don't you come with me? Take a little ride, get a little windshield time. When we go on the road.
Pristine forests, spectacular lakes, and rugged mountains. Glacier National Park in western Montana is a hiker's paradise for adventurous visitors seeking the beauty of the wilderness. And the humans who come from all over the world to see it must beware of the park's wild, unpredictable, and potentially dangerous inhabitants. And park rangers urge them to keep a safe distance. As you're about to see, a couple of Minnesotans spent a lot of time in these mountains, and they often come face to face with grizzlies. Tim Rubbert from St. Paul, Minnesota is a familiar sight in this rugged wilderness. For more than 20 years, he's hiked the slopes of the mountains here at Glacier National Park in search of grizzly bears, and he finds lots of them.
The grizzly is, I believe, a symbol of true wilderness, and it's become a passion.
For the past 5 years, Terry Rubbert has made many trips from his home in St. Paul to Montana to document his brother's many encounters with bears.
It'd be a good idea if I came out here and started filming his work. And there's no better person in the world to be with than my brother, who's an expert on bears or the whole ecosystem.
Over the years, the brothers have had many close encounters with grizzlies, bringing back remarkable scenes of females with their cubs placidly grazing on vegetation or digging under rocks and stumps for insects, even candid shots of a mother feeding her young. The Rubberts have been here so often, many bears take no notice of them and their camera. It wasn't always this way. Tim Rubbert started out his working life as an attorney and ended up in insurance.
Tim left his job in his career to do this, and at first I thought it was crazy that he would leave such a lucrative career.
Tim Rubbert has become the grizzly man of Glacier National Park. He's just published a small book called Hiking with Grizzlies, which focuses on staying alive in grizzly country. He and Terry have even earned the respect of veteran park ranger Bob Adams.
We're happy to have people who are interested in the ecology of the bear or other wildlife here and have them in the park and have them observe bears and photograph bears.
But spending years tracking grizzly bears in this wilderness can be hazardous to your health.
The more I learn about grizzlies, the more I realize how much I don't know about them. They always surprise me.
14 years ago, Tim was hiking with another renowned grizzly expert named Jim Cole when Cole was attacked.
I was with him when he was mauled the first time back in 1993, and that was a total surprise.
Luckily, Tim was packing his trusty can of bear pepper spray and was quick on the draw.
The bear heard the whoosh from the can, looked up and charged. And I kept the trigger down on the bear spray. As he charged towards me, the bear stopped 5 feet in front of me and took off.
Jim Cole was severely injured, but survived that attack thanks to Tim's quick thinking. He was less lucky just a few weeks before we did this interview when he ran into another surly grizzly and had his face ripped to shreds.
I was shocked, I was stunned, but it doesn't necessarily surprise me now. Because he was out there as much or more than I was.
Despite his penchant for venturing out alone to track grizzly bears, Tim Rubbert is a man on a mission.
To ensure the survival of the grizzly in the lower 48. And the way to do that is to teach people to have respect for the bear, to be careful around bears, and not to push them. My name's Tim Rubbert, and I've been observing, studying, and photographing grizzlies for over 22 years.
Tim is a popular speaker at small seminars for guests at lodges around the park.
I want to try and dispel the myth of the grizzly as a monster.
Some of the advice he offers to people who might suddenly confront a grizzly might be hard to put into practice, especially when most people's first reaction would be to run.
The first thing you do is freeze and remain calm, and watch how that bear is reacting to you before you do anything.
Stock up with supplies. Tim and his brother Terry are heading off again to try and find bears in the vast expanse of Glacier National Park. This is Montana, and you don't have to travel far out of town before you're in some of the most beautiful and unspoiled mountain terrain in the country. This is a lesser-known part of the east end of the park called Many Glacier. A lot of people drive through here and never see a bear, but these two experts can spot a family of grizzlies a mile off.
Where are they, Tim?
They're right at the top of that cliff. You see that big, white patch of snow up there?
Yeah?
It was amazing that the two men spotted a female grizzly and her two cubs grazing on the far mountainside. Even with our zoom lens, we could barely make out the animals between the rocks.
I got them.
Okay.
Nice. That's the same mom and cub from last year.
Yeah, she's radio collared. You learn to look at an object. It could end up being a rock or a stump, but something that has contrast against the background that looks like it could possibly be a bear.
Everyone is happy when people get to see bears at this distance.
This is where we love for visitors to see the bears
Exactly.
at hundreds of yards like this rather than dozens of yards along the roadside.
But when bears are spotted close to the road, it becomes a problem for rangers like Bob Adams, and the action he sometimes has to take creates a huge public relations problem.
We will try to move those bears to cover. By cover, I mean back into the woods.
Picture it. Someone sees grizzlies close to the road. They stop. A crowd gathers, and along comes Bob Adams with his shotgun loaded with very special rounds that include rubber bullets.
These are used at a longer range than the bean bags. We might shoot at a bear with this at, say, 30 yards.
This situation happens all the time and is virtually guaranteed to tick people off.
Yeah, I appreciate that too much.
All the way from Michigan to see a bear, and you come up and drive the thing back into the woods.
Exactly. And we hear it not just once, we hear that often.
The bear could be right in those trees bedded down.
Minnesotan Tim Rubbert has come face to face with many grizzly and black bears in these mountains and says the trick is not to startle the animals.
In a lot of cases, the bear may run immediately, or the bear may attack. Before we even got this close, we would yell something like, I go, hello! Something like that. In addition to that, especially when I'm hiking alone or in a questionable situation like this that we're approaching, I will carry my bear spray out with the safety off. Hello.
Bear spray is definitely something you don't want to leave home without when hiking in Glacier National Park.
Yeah, very good.
And don't forget to let the bears know you're coming.
Yo!
We're coming, bear. Watch out, bear. We're coming through.
Hello!